Isn't that because the circumstances have also changed as well? I mean, in the 1960s or thereabout, some people would say that we could count just how many graduates we had. And that's why perhaps in the 1970s and perhaps early 80s, when graduates finished from school, they had jobs waiting for them. But considering how many and population explosion, can we really say that the circumstances are still the same?
There's a sense in which we can say the circumstances are the same. If the graduates of the 60s were good enough, the graduates of the 80s and the 90s are also good enough. They are well trained. They require that exposure. They have to be given that opportunity. A situation where our politicians and our leaders retire only when they are 80 and 80 plus is unacceptable. Look at other climes. What is happening? Take, for instance, Britain and the United States. Look at their history. How many years was Obama when he became the president of the United States? What about Britain? What is the picture there? Why will Nigeria be different? At times, you require younger people who are able to dream dreams and match their dreams with the requisite energy. I am not saying that the older generation, they are not useful. No. They will serve as statesmen. They will serve as the advisors. They will be the guide. They are the repository of the ethos of the country. Whenever the younger generation wants to falter, the younger generation can always run to them for advice and for direction.
You just touched on a big point here, which we have seen is one of the problems here. We'll go back to looking at the importance of history, even though we're talking about national development, looking at the ministerial list, which you've just highlighted. A case in point is someone looking out for a job, especially in the country, and you're being told to come with one form of experience or the other, knowing full well that it's a first start in everything in life. And that has also gotten into our polity to the extent that you're being asked, are you an experienced politician? And that is why we have seen this recycling. How do we go back to reinvent things, to do the proper things? You just matched your points with some other things happening in other climes where we have seen younger persons take up responsibilities on the national level, and they have been able to drive their nation to where they are at the moment. How can we reverse the trend, historically speaking, and looking at the importance of history as well?
Thank you very much. When we talk about capitalizing on experience for the politicians, you want to ask what kind of experience? What has been the country's experience with regards to their performance in office? If that experience is not palatable, then we must look elsewhere. If I take you back to the ministerial list, for instance, if you look at the names of people like Pt2, you can see where he's coming from. You can see the experience. So far, he looks and remains untainted. Putting him in the Petroleum Ministry on NNPC where he was, yes, we are all focusing to see how he will perform using that experience he had garnered over the years. When you have such, I reside in Oyo State. If you look at the name of someone like Shitu, Barrister Shitu, he's a man of integrity. He has quite some experience. He's been an Attorney General of the state. And so we can look at his pedigree historically. It's not always that you must have occupied a position. In that which the person has been engaged over the years, how well has the person performed? What in his history speaks to his record of performance? It is that we would look at critically in assessing the quality of the list and those who will come on board. And to do that, when you do your assessment thoroughly, you will require a sense of history. What has been their history over the years? In all the various departments they have been engaged in.
You know, historian, you always say that, look, any country that doesn't learn from history, the result is not always good. What should we do? How do we go about bringing history back to our schools, almost at every level?
Yes. First, let me say that last year, the Historical Society was able to meet with President Goodluck, the then President Goodluck Jonathan, and he gave a directive that history be returned to the secondary school, junior secondary school level. We have since then tried to engage the necessary government parastatals to make sure that history is brought back. We met with a lot of bottlenecks here and there, and we are still pushing very hard. But the point again is that returning history to schools will directly impact on us, on our youths. Ask the average youth who is his hero. He tells you either of an entertainer or a footballer, which I don't have a problem with. But in the political arena, when you don't have a sense of history, it's difficult for them to have a sense of value. It is difficult for the country to have a direction. And so stability becomes a challenge. If you look at the conflicts all around us, it is also because we don't understand who we are. Historically, even before the colonial rule, we have always interacted, intermarried as a people. I'm one of those who have argued that there's a basis for Nigeria being together. If you look at the history of our intergroup relations over the years, you will begin to appreciate that for instance, by the early 19th century, you had the Yorubas settled in Jos, you had Hausas in Enugu, you had Niger Delta peoples moving as far as the Middle Belt. All this we don't have in the public domain because we have lost our sense of history. And so you begin to appreciate that the next Nigerian could be in one way or the other related to you. The people in Ogun State, the Shagamu axis, will let you know that historically, the Hausa Fulani have been settling in that place long before colonial rule in 1900. And so there has been a mixture of population. When you realize that the next person could be your blood relative, you will not be too quick in reacting negatively to other groups within the Nigerian Federation. And so, in trying to reorientate Nigerians in this new mantra of change, history becomes very, very critical. You require a deep knowledge of history to understand how to navigate that new orientation.
And speaking about which, in conclusion, Prof, it just occurred to me, I mean, look at countries that have gone through several situations, talking about war, either first one or the second one. Germany, we know what they went through. They've gone back, and you have the chaos that they're known for. Japan, look at the strong electronics they're known for. Even Vietnam, they're doing something about it. Even US, they went through their own civil war as well. Their federal image is stronger now. We also did go through war. And we're talking about looking for foreign direct investment into the country. But clearly, it's important for us to get history back. It will help define us as a nation and in moving forward, you've said. Well, we'll have to wrap it up here, Prof. Thank you very much indeed. Professor Christopher Gbogbo is the President, Historical Society of Nigeria, and also Head Department of History, University of Ibadan. Thank you, Prof, for your time today.
Thank you very much.